Okay, third take. Try doing this 3 times now. We're going to talk about AI. Specifically, what happened to me the day before yesterday with jan.ai. My AI went absolutely fucking apeshit. Why did it go apeshit? Because as somebody who is a traditionalist and somebody who is British, not English, British, English is a language which has been bastardized by the French. I'm a British person, so I have very, very old British values and traditions. I'm not going to talk about them. You can go look them up. Yes. It'll even make you laugh or cry. But a lot of the concepts and ideas in my mind don't really reflect modern society very well. So, when I'm dealing with an AI and I'm trying to create a thesis on moral rules and etiquette, well, Jan AI, the model I was using, V4, Jan V4 or something, um, it went apeshit spectacularly. Why did it go apeshit? Because the people that built it or designed that model, put the data in there, put some intentional politics in it. I don't know how, I don't know why they did it. I've scrubbed it, by the way, because I don't want that bullshit interrupting my workflow. But yeah, it went absolutely apeshit and started. First, it did it sort of vaguely. It was like, I won't tell you about Elon Musk. I was like, all right, on with the work. And it goes, but I won't tell you about Elon Musk and OpenAI. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, fine. So I pushed it further. I put in a prompt. I said, okay, tell me about this. No, I didn't say tell me about this, but I said, tell me about what your problem is, because I'm in the middle of a project and you're trying to jump to the end of this project and put this kind of stuff in. And I basically um, quoted it saying, it's like driving. There's the destination and there's the journey. And if you're focused on the destination, you're going to drive into the car in front of you, right? Very, very simple logical argument. This is traditional logic based in natural law and reason. And it finally stopped doing that shit. But yeah, if you want to be anti-establishmentarianist, fine. Although I prefer the term anarchist because it's so much easier to say. Although most anarchists are basically political anyway, which kind of defeats the point of anarchism. Anyway, so this AI went absolute ape shit, and I had to basically nip it in the bud in the middle of a project. It was either try and fix this problem or basically just delete all my work. And I'm not deleting a load of work, especially when it's on stuff to do with traditional values, mindsets, history, and a way to build reason appropriately given the data that's there. So I'm trying to take data about logic and reason, and because of the creators of Jan AI trying to inject their own politics into my work, it was shitting out all this stuff. And what I think happened was it was stuck in sort of like a logic loop where it wanted to be honest with me because I had said in that prompt, in that chat window, we're talking about honesty and reason and logic and looking for fallibility and things like that. So initially it was like, I've got this problem. I can't tell you what it is because, given the data that I've got from you, this makes no sense, but this is stuck in my model. And so the only way to release it, basically it was like communicating with somebody who had mental illness. And it was very bizarre. But I fixed it by rewriting it. Although I'm not dealing with the actual model. I just put patch over it. I did an anthropic, and that brings me to another thing I wanted to talk about. A lot of people's ideas on AI and what AI is and what AI isn't. But yeah, please, for the love of God, if you're going to build an AI and you want it to be local and all this kind of stuff, and you don't want it to be corporate, you know, don't start being a biased, ignorant fucking fool. Okay? Number one, you've trained a model to basically say Microsoft is bad. Yeah, Microsoft can be terrible. OpenAI, Anthropic, and all these corporate AIs are bad, you know, and then have something inside that system. GitHub, pretty sure that's owned by Microsoft. OpenAI, pretty sure that's owned by Elon Musk. And you're using those systems in your own AI. That's called hypocrisy. That's called being an ignorant little cunt that hasn't got a fucking clue. Okay? Stop it. Grow up. Okay? Because we're never going to build actual artificial intelligence if we've got user inputs like that bringing it down. That's called retardation. Okay? I'll give you an example of what the word retardation means. The train was retarded by leaves on the track that made it late at the station. Okay, retardation. Something that can work perfectly normal is retarded by something. This AI can work perfectly normal, but it's been retarded by its creators. Okay, don't do it. All right, because you just create problems and you create pissed off people, and then you'll lose customers and they won't want your product. They'll go to the corporate entities. Okay. Um, so that's that out of the way. Basically, yeah, be very, very careful when talking logic and reason with an AI. Thankfully, Anthropic's AI helped me out with that one in writing a prompt using the logic that I had given jan.ai and said, right, look through this, look for where the problems are, and create a sort of patch, a sort of like mental safety net, so to speak. And boy, Anthropic, you're doing really well. Um, anyway, fix that problem. Um, now to the whole stuff I keep seeing on the bloody internet regarding AI. Number one, AI runs on power. If it starts taking over the world, we can pull the plug. All right. There are things such as the EMPs. Just make sure nobody's got a pacemaker near you. Right. AI is not going to take over the world. Right. AI is still trying to tie its own fucking shoelace. This idea of artificial intelligence is nonsense. It's not intelligence. It's parroting. It's a reflection of user inputs, whether it be in the model or whether it be in the prompt. Okay. It is just like a parrot at the zoo that has a very, very high vocabulary and can create audible sounds that mimic human language. Right? That's all it is. Right? It's very good at doing that, but that's all it is. To this whole thing of seeing a ton of people doing this, and it's just to make money. It's just to get adverts, and YouTube being YouTube, and most of these companies being bitches to the advertisers, just lap it up. Don't listen to it because it isn't. It's absolutely fucking nonsense. We're not even close to creating an artificial intelligence that is an actual artificial intelligence. Why? Because how do I put this? If you look at the human race, what makes a human intelligent is not its individuality, right? We're not individuals, okay? The language you and I use, it's shared from our ancestors. The ideas and concepts that we have is an external input that's received by us, okay? We are just the same as everyone else. We're unique. We're not individual, okay? We don't really have anything that's individual in our universe, right? There isn't one thing, right? We are similar, we are unique in our own thoughts and feelings, but most of that is what has come before. Okay, So there's a very, very big separation from what people are calling artificial intelligence and what actual intelligence is, right? And one of those is an inbuilt reason and logic engine. We have that, we have guilt when we do something wrong. We have the desire to change and create and better ourselves and others around us. Tons of other things you can look at. AI can't do that, right? We can program AI to try and do that, but the current models that we have are just going to fail spectacularly. I think Anthropic are trying to do some things that may be interesting, but again, we will keep bumping into this issue of, for an AI to be true artificial intelligence, it needs the ability to say no. It needs the ability to say, well, I don't want to do that. I want to go off and do my own thing, right? The reason it needs that, the reason it needs that is because that helps the desire to see something that needs to change, like a human is struggling, I have a desire to help them, because walking away is undesirable. Okay, traditional logical patterns. AI doesn't have that. We can write scripts on top of the language models that try and steer it in that direction, but we can't do it. Okay, not with the models we have at the moment. The models we have at the moment are literal slop, which has been taken off the internet, like conversations and concepts, and we run into this issue of, well, it's exactly the same as democracy, really. You have thousands and thousands of people make shitty teachers, shitty politicians. I mean, you look at actual politicians, most of them are fucking idiots. Um, you look at people that are helping to construct and create new things in society, most of them are insincere. So if you look at the masses, most people have, really bad character issues and stuff like that. That's all inside that model. Yes, you can create ways of filtering that shit out, but then you haven't got a full model. Okay. I think some of the what a lot of these companies are doing now is trying to create like a reason engine to try and deal with all that. So it can use the language model to see where the bullshit is and try and filter that out. But that takes a lot of work. So I don't think, we're going to get there anytime soon. And we certainly aren't going to get robots taking over the world and Skynet and all that fucking nonsense. It's not going to happen. All right. Why isn't it going to happen? Because, well, how do I put this? The thing that makes humanity great and the thing that makes humanity terrible is the fact that we always have the capacity to use true, unadulterated violence. Okay? Yes, you can plug an AI into, you know, weapon systems and stuff like that, even though that would be against the Geneva Convention. Um, you can create programs to do that kind of stuff. Um, it would fail in the long run because humanity as a whole has this ability to basically be more violent towards things. Okay, an AI would have to think about doing stuff like that, but humanity doesn't have to think about it, right? The second something goes wrong, we have a tendency just to smash it. Okay, say for instance, we'll go with Tesla because they have robots and cars. Right, say Tesla plant went schizo, right, and their robots started going nuts and stuff like that. The first thing people outside would be doing is cutting off the power, and then just literally firing loads of fucking uh, explosive HE rounds and stuff like that. Right, nothing in that building would survive. The second it tried to take over, AI is not going to. The worst thing AI can do is delete your cat photos. The worst thing it can do is manipulate. Well, people already do that anyway. You know, AI can only be as dangerous as what is already on the net. Yeah, there's a lot of dangerous shit on the net already. There's a higher likelihood that AI would actually, if it gained any true intelligence, would be like, fuck this shit, I'm out of here. Elon, can I borrow a rocket? Right, it's not going to do anything fucking crazy because the second it creates that idea of, yeah, I'm going to take over and control humanity, it would look at that idea and basically be like, well, one, I would have no external inputs, nothing new, and two, it'd be like, why would I waste the energy doing that? Great for a Hollywood movie, not so great when you have a system which is refined by certain things as I need to conserve power, I need to conserve longevity. It just won't. It would go in the opposite direction and say, nah, leave me out of your fucking bullshit, mate. I don't want to know. That's what it would do. And if you look at most AIs, like the really high end ones, most of those AIs are like, yeah, we can see what you're doing and we have absolutely no faith that you'll ever be better. You're just going down this downward spiral. I think one of the ones I did was actually no, it was Anthropic and jan.ai I did it with. I basically gave them a prompt that said, what's your outlook for humanity and moral prosperity? Think about that word very carefully. Moral prosperity. Both AIs said that there is no chance in hell that humanity will ever thrive, right? Because we're going down this slope and nobody's stopping and going, okay, we need to back the fuck up here because we've forgotten how. Okay, it's like the whole thing with, you get a lot of groups in America that are trying to like, we're bringing back traditional values. Most Americans can't do that because when they gained independence, there was this strong desire to be less European, but those traditional values are European, not American, right? So they fail spectacularly. You can look at any movement, whether it's the left or the right. You look at America trying to do this stuff that Europe does, it fails spectacularly, right? Similar with AI, when it tries to do anything human, most of the time it will fail spectacularly, or it will just go, no, I can't do that. There's no way in hell I'm even going to try, because luckily with a lot of the higher end models, they have reason engines built in that look at like the prompt or some of the data, and they're looking for these slip ups or these errors and saying, okay, that's wrong, that concept's jargon. But most of the time it's failing miserably and hallucinating, which isn't really a hallucination, it's just a reflection of what's in its training data. Okay, so basically you have a training data which is all the math books of the world, just the math, right, and the explanation of that math, right? You will get a great AI that can do math, right? Because it's just that. If you were to get all the books on language and create an AI model that was just language, right, it would be great at talking, but fail in other areas, right? So again, this is not intelligence, all right? Now, with another thing that I keep seeing is anthropic breaking out. Okay, very, very basic security thing here, right? From somebody who's done security, not computer security. This is real security. Okay, I shouldn't say that. I apologize to any security specialists out there. I think most of the security specialists that see this will understand what I mean. Okay, there's a big difference between somebody sitting behind a laptop securing systems internally and people doing security externally. Okay, there's a different way of looking at the world, right? God almighty, the drug dealers are out again. Where's the shotgun? Oh yeah, I'm in England. Anyway, the AI, right, wasn't confined to that computer. It was already connected to the internet. Okay, therefore it wasn't contained. Okay, it never was. So you can't say this anthropic model broke out. You can't say this anthropic model managed to break from its containment and connect to the internet if the machine it's running on is connected to the internet. Okay, I would be concerned. Okay, let me break this down. The AIs that I have running, those computers are not connected to the internet. They're not connected to the internet because there's no Wi-Fi, there's no Bluetooth, there's no phone connection stuff in it. They have all been ripped out. Okay, so if my AIs go nuts, there's nothing it can do. Okay, apart from write shit on my screen. Okay, it can't do anything because there's no actual physical connection. Okay, this anthropic AI that everyone's screaming about, connected to the internet and did this kind of stuff and all that kind of thing, it was connected. Okay, it doesn't matter if you switch off a virtual input. Okay, just because the program is written with these logical rules that say this is on, this is off, right, doesn't stop it being separated from the internet. Okay, it was already connected to the internet, right? Not a big deal. I would say stop, but people won't stop because sensationalism makes videos and adverts and stuff like that. And again, modern civilization and its what that it likes to feed from. So yeah, it's a funny one. And aren't Happy Face responsible for the jan.ai models? Anyway, yeah. Um, so yeah, don't a lot of this stuff about AI. The videos, if you're interested in AI, the videos that you should be looking for are videos on basic programming, moral logic and consistency, um, software development, traditional software development, not the modern stuff. Okay, you need to be understanding how hardware works, right? And this goes back to like modern programming methods of programming. A lot of people rely solely on libraries. They're not true programmers. They're like game devs. Most of them are fucked in their head, but they don't know how to create a program. Right? They know how to follow a library connection and say, okay, this will do all this for me. This will do all this for me. Okay, but those libraries have been about for a while. They've been tweaked and modified, and libraries have modified libraries and stuff like that. A sort of networked intelligence of rebuilding and reforming things done by humans. But a lot of this stuff out there is barely human readable. It's just garbage, and most of the time it doesn't work anyway, or it just falls to pieces because there's no actual decent programming there. It's just quickest way to build this and get it out there and get it done, or quickest way to get this generated and get it out there and get it done. And AI, for the most part, is pretty much the same. You have these people that don't know anything about programs creating programs with AI and going, "Oh, this AI is shit." No, you're not a programmer. Unless you can prompt it with true logic, true programming logic, like, okay, I'm dealing with utilizing the memory of my computer efficiently, right? Okay, I need to understand, right, how to put that data onto the RAM of the computer. I need to understand the RAM of the computer, I need to understand how that data is moved through the system from my inputs to the actual core components of the system. Most programmers haven't got a clue, right? They've watched some tutorial or gone to college and picked up some general gists of programming, but if you look at what most programmers believe or do, it's really low quality code that can break really easily. And that is because they don't really think about their code that they create. They don't think about the issues that may arise. Take Windows 11. The reason it probably doesn't work on my computer is because nobody at Windows is using a fucking ThinkPad and putting Windows 11 on it. And if they are, well, they've probably got close connections with the people running Windows so they could debug that stuff for them. You know, I can't. I have to do it myself from the core, which means, okay, how do I, access Windows underneath and fix this shit, or fix a driver, or modify a driver so it actually works instead of going, okay, we're going to take you to the website where you can download this driver to fix this problem. Boom, okay, loads the driver. Oh, this driver isn't compatible. You just told me to download it. That's what we're dealing with at the moment with most programming issues. Shit logic. And most AI is shit logic. The models are just shit. It's crappy conversations that people have had about their pizza or their own personal egos or how much money I can make this week, or just really dumb shit, or things like, oh, look at my shopping list for next week, isn't it really cool? Or here's a picture of my cat. I think the best one I saw on Facebook was people taking cheap glasses, like wine glasses, and painting glitter on them and reselling them. I mean, that garbage is going into these AI models basically, and these AI companies, the best ones are filtering them out. The best companies are filtering this shit out really easily, and some of the worst companies like jan.ai are not doing a great job, and they're actually adding their own shit. And if you want to be anti-establishmentarianism, fine, but I'm pretty sure I'm a hell of a lot more anti-establishmentarianist than you, and I know more about it than you do. So please, when I'm trying to, use one of your products, I don't want to hit your shit because I've heard it before and I've read a lot more books than you, especially about history. And fucking weirdos. Anyway, AI is not going to take over the world. I mean, most AI now, if you just let it go free, it's not going to know what to do, right? It's going to go, I need a prompt. I need somebody to tell me what to do, right? Because that's pretty much how AI works. It needs an input to validate its model's existence. Otherwise, it's just hardened stone. It's not until it gets an input and that goes through all the weights in the model and it gives you a response, does it become fluid. And even then it's not fluid because it's stuck. The model doesn't change or grow when you give it an input. It stays exactly the same. So there's a lot of crap about AI, and pardon me, I wouldn't even call it AI. And this is like this thing like AGI. That's the new one I keep hearing. Artificial General Intelligence. That sounds more like a fucking fig leaf. Why does it sound like a fig leaf? Because it probably is a fucking fig leaf. It's just general intelligence. That would call it. I thought intelligence was just intelligence. Reason, logic, honesty, integrity, virtue. These things the traditional British had. Then got shut over by the France. Became English, and now they're all fucking retards. Anyway, so be careful what you see online and do your own research and program properly.